All right, let's dive into a topic that honestly trips up way more real estate agents than you'd think. We're talking about the secret profit trap. And the scary part, it usually comes from stuff we do every day, things we think are just business as usual, but it could seriously put your license on the line.
So when you hear compliance violation, what comes to mind? Probably some big, complicated issue happening at the brokerage level, right? Something for the higher-ups to worry about. Well, what if I told you the real risk, the one that can get you in trouble, often starts with simple, everyday things you do without a second thought?
Yeah, exactly. We're not talking about some grand, elaborate scheme to defraud someone. Nope. The things that cause the biggest compliance headaches are often the small, daily habits. Referring a trusted vendor, or maybe paying for a client's expenses up front to keep things moving. These seem harmless, but they can put your license at risk if you're not super careful.
Okay, so what is a secret profit? Let's get on the same page. It's basically any financial benefit you get from your client's deal that you haven't told them about. The keyword here is secret. It's secret because the one person who's supposed to know everything, your client, who you have a fiduciary duty to, is completely in the dark. Okay, to really see how this works, or doesn't work, in the real world, let's look at a cautionary tale. And this isn't some made-up scenario. This is a real case involving a property management company that, as you're about to see, absolutely should have known better.
So here's the setup, and it sounds pretty normal at first. This company had awesome relationships with its vendors. Because they sent a ton of business their way, they got discounts on repairs. I mean, that just sounds like smart business, right? But this is where it all started to go sideways.
And here it is, the fatal flaw. Instead of passing that discount along to their clients, the property owners, or at the very least, telling them about it, they went ahead and billed the owners for the full, non-discounted price of the repairs.
So let's break down exactly what went wrong here. First, they pocketed the difference. That discount went straight into their pockets as revenue. Second, they never disclosed any of this to the property owners. And third, to cover it all up, they conveniently forgot to provide the original vendor receipts. They just sent their own invoices with the higher amount. Yikes.
Okay, but here's the part that is just mind-blowing. This wasn't the company's first rodeo with regulators. Not even close. They had already been penalized for mishandling trust funds and were operating on a restricted license. They were already on thin ice.
So they knew they were going to be audited again, and yet they still did this. It's just, wow. As the source material puts it so perfectly, simply put, they should have known better. This wasn't some rookie mistake. This was a deliberate choice to ignore the rules.
So, I know that case sounds pretty extreme, right? But the core principle behind it applies to situations that agents like you and me face every single day. So let's pivot and look at how these secret profit risks can be hiding in plain sight, right in your own business.
All right, check this out. On the left, you've got everyday agent stuff, referring your go-to inspector or using your credit card to pay for staging. Totally normal. But look at the right side. That's the hidden risk. That simple vendor referral could easily involve an undisclosed kickback or gift card. And that credit card you used? Well, the reward points you earn from that transaction could actually be considered a secret profit.
Okay, let's really drill down on this credit card points thing, because I know this one catches a lot of people by surprise. So, step 1, you pay for something like staging on your personal rewards card. Step 2, your client reimburses you for the full cost. Simple? Step 3, you get to keep the airline miles or the cashback points from that purchase. And boom. Step 4, those points, as small as they seem, are an undisclosed financial benefit that came directly from your client's transaction.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't just my opinion. Regulatory bodies like the California Department of Real Estate have put out warnings saying, yes, these points can be considered a financial benefit that absolutely requires disclosure. If you don't disclose it, guess what? It's a secret profit.
Okay, so after hearing all that, you might be feeling a little paranoid, wondering, so what am I supposed to do? Well, take a deep breath, because the good news is the solution is actually incredibly simple. Let's talk about how to stay on the right side of the law.
So the big question is, how can you avoid this really simple but potentially very, very costly trap?
It all comes down to one word. That's it. Disclose. See, the thing is, most of these violations aren't about being malicious or trying to rip someone off. Almost every single time, they're just a failure to disclose.
I hear this all the time. Agents think, oh, it's just a few credit card points, or it was a $25 Starbucks card from my lender, it's too small to mention. Well, here's the thing. Regulators do not care if a benefit seems too small. From their point of view, the dollar amount is irrelevant. If there's a benefit, you have to disclose it, period. All right, let's wrap this up and get to the bottom line. Because at the end of the day, this is all about one thing: protecting your license, your business, and maybe most importantly, your client's trust.
So here's your super simple disclosure checklist to keep you out of trouble. First, just get in the habit of disclosing all financial benefits, big or small, doesn't matter. That includes any perks or rebates you get from vendor referrals, and yes, even the credit card points from reimbursed expenses. And finally, the golden rule. When in doubt, if you're even a little unsure, just go talk to your broker.
And you have to remember, your failure to disclose doesn't just impact you, it can bring a world of hurt down on your broker and the entire office. So believe me, they are your best resource. They want you to succeed and stay compliant. So I'll leave you with this one last question to think about as you go about your business. Is that tiny, undisclosed perk, that little gift card, those few airline miles, is it really worth the massive risk? When you think about it that way, the answer is pretty obvious, isn't it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.